The aha moment is, like, in my opinion, the people that have that, it's the people that saw .com and saw the .com bubble coming.
The model of the old world is you don't own anything. You don't even own that game.
And if I would have known the things about the financial industry and institutions now, I would have leveraged my freaking everything. I would have put kidneys on the line and been like, I'll pay it back later. We're fine.
I didn't understand that banks they don't really have your money.
All it takes is Trump saying we're slapping tariffs on to China again, and boom, massive sell-off, liquidate the whole market.
Our chapter, I guess, so to say, is adoption, right? Where we're still working to foster this adoption. How do we achieve what the folks from the 90s era achieved with the internet?
Facts. With that said, Toshi, welcome to Into the Web3Verse. It's good to have you.
It was good to be here, Stoner, man. I'll be honest with you. We've been planning this for a little over a week now, right? Well, we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks, but we've been trying to get it scheduled. It's finally happened. We're here. I'm excited to get down to business, man. How you feeling today, brother?
I am feeling saucy. We had a saucy Saturday, with the deads, and we were talking about crypto, and we had that big sell-off on Friday. That sell-off was scary. A lot of people freaked out. Did you were on the live with us when that happened?
I pulled up. I saw it live on your stream. So I was experiencing it in real time with you as it was happening.
Yeah, dude, I was like looking at the chart because Nick had me bring up the chart, and he's like, hey, yeah, let's look at the chart. And we're sitting there and we're at 116, and we're just going back and forth. And then all of a sudden I'm like, it's going red. And I'm like, is that real? And then I hear Tricky go, yo, that looks crazy. And then Nick just kept going and talking about it. And then all of a sudden I was like, yo, this is at 102. And he goes, wait, what? And freaked out. And it ended up being the largest liquidation day in history for the stock market and for crypto. Not just one. It smashed both, all because of that tariff news. And the thing is too, that I was reminding people, we talked about this. We had actually sat down for weeks and talked about how this was oversold. There was not really a basis for being up that high. And then all of a sudden, boom.
I actually had to check the charts because I'm like, because I'm watching the live stream and I'm like, is their chart right? Like, I don't know if their chart's right. Let me check my chart. And then I'm like, yeah, this is actually happening. And I was in the chat, like, I'm going to deploy more capital. I had some USDC kind of hanging around that I just deposited from my paycheck that I deployed into the markets that day, which was a good idea, by the way, at least as it stands now, right? Ask me that again in a couple of weeks. But I will say that I was like, my goodness. And then to find out later on in hindsight, like it was, like you said, the largest liquidation event in history. It was just really, it felt surreal because I was watching it right there, as it was happening on the live stream. And generally, you get the notifications and stuff and you check them later on. But like I was watching it in real time with you guys, which was really, really cool. And yeah, shout out to y'all, man, and the Higher Intelligence podcast, man. Y'all been killing it over there. Been killing it live every Friday, right?
Every Friday, 4:20 Eastern Standard. You know how we had to do it like that. No, but it's one of those things that we talked about, flash crashes incoming, where I had kept saying we're in flash crash season, y'all be careful. And I had started saying that about 10, 12 days before. And then all of a sudden, all it takes is Trump saying we're slapping tariffs on to China again. And boom, massive sell-off, liquidate the whole market. Bull runs over, posts everywhere, even though it's not. We're still cooking. It was definitely a floor reset. Now we know where a lot of our bottoms lie, which is thankfully still over 100K. We haven't broken below, So with all the market stuff said and talking, catching up for a sec on all of that. This is your first time being on into the Web3 verse with me, Toshi, and so I'm excited to have
Yes.
you here. And I wanted the viewers to get to know you more, to have you also share. We've had Anthony on before. We got to talk about the Infinite NFT Royale card game and how that worked. We got to actually play a little game on the podcast. So, with that said, we've learned a lot about that. I'd like to get to know Toshi, your journey, along with, hearing the business side, the backbone of everything that people aren't seeing for Infinite NFT Royale.
Yeah.
And with that said, Toshi, what got you into Web3? How has your journey kind of been that's led up to Infinite NFT Royale for you?
So I've had a really, really interesting journey. My journey started in 2019, um, right before the pandemic. I had been hearing about Bitcoin forever, actually, but I kept ignoring it. I kept ignoring it. I think it was I don't even remember the first time I heard about it. It may have been like I don't know some rapper or something. I don't know who knows, but either way, it caught my attention, and I started to do a little bit of research, like very surface level stuff. I found out the very surface level story about Satoshi Nakamoto, and like kind of like I was researching the lore, not so much the technology. And actually, this was the lore that was what drew me to it, and then that's what got me to like actually look into the technology. So, like 2020, before the bull run, the previous bull run, started to get a little crypto curious, and honestly, I think it was Cash App added Bitcoin to like their wallet. I mean, to like to the app, you could actually buy it. And so I just bought a little bit. And I think I never forget. It wasn't much, but it didn't do much of anything. It was right before like the Black Swan event in 2020, where like every kind of like what happened, what we were just previously talking about, right? Like you get the Black Swan event right before like the face melt and pump, and essentially, I had another friend. So that's what got me into it, but I didn't take it much further until maybe a little later in the year after the Black Swan and crypto kind of started pumping a little bit, and then the Dogecoin. I started hearing about Dogecoin, and that's what really was like that. That's really what got me to be like, maybe I need to pay attention here because I bought some Dogecoin like before all the Elon stuff. Like I want to say it was late 2020. This has had to be going into 2021 at this point, right?
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. And
2021
it
bull
was
run.
the bull run.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that
And
was going to
so I
be
grabbed,
September to November ish. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, 100%. So I grabbed up some Dogecoin. I want to say it was maybe 5 cents, 6 cents. It was super cheap, dude. And then, but I didn't have much. It was like $100, right? But then Dogecoin went to like 17 cents.
Yeah.
And then I saw that money double. And then Dogecoin went to like 21 cents. And then it just like kept going up. And so yeah, that it was the gains like for most people that drew me here. But I've always been a tech person, right? At heart. I've always been into like software development and things of that nature, and then also an artist as well in terms of like drawing, digital art, things of that nature. Um, and so that's kind of what kept me here. Once I found out, like once we got past the gains, because of course the bear market came after all that. Once we kind of got past all of those gains, it was like for me, I still had friends in the space,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
made some friends, I joined some communities, I found out Discord and like Telegram and all these different things, and you meet a couple of folks, and those that's what keeps you around. At least in my opinion, if you don't know what you're doing and you're not like super like I don't know, because I guess it feels like how crypto's like a year is like 4 to 5 years. Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
been so long ago, but it's like at that point in time, for me, I was super drawn to like the technology, and I feel like people who aren't drawn to the other things in the space, um, outside of the gains, those are the ones who leave the space and then come back once they see the market's going up again.
Yeah.
But you know Yeah, that's kind of my journey. I mean, there's obviously a lot that happened with that's like a broad overview. I don't want to like talk your ear off about how I got into crypto, but that was like what drew me to the space initially and kind of surface level of like how I got my feet wet and started to, poke around the space a little bit, right?
Yeah, no, and that's what we're here for. We're here for the long talks. Like, I know I talked to you off before we even started today, but
Yeah, yeah,
no, but
yeah.
it's easy to get lost in conversation when you resonate with people, like I do
Oh,
with you and Anthony. But it's good to talk about these things too, and I that's one of the things I love about starting this more long form podcast with Web3 developers is to sit down and talk to you guys and for people to get to know who they're either backing, investing, or playing games through, because I think that that's a big part of something missing in Web3 has been that personability, that rapport that you have with each other, and kind of getting to understand the company or the founders. And so, yeah, don't ever feel bad about talking long. Yeah, this is what we're here for. But, I love hearing your journey and getting the when you get that bite, it's like that. You remember the Looney Tunes? You ever watch that when you were younger?
oh yeah,
Okay,
hundred
so do
percent.
you remember the little gambling bug that would bite the cat? And then the cat would
The
like
the
get the bug and he'd gotta go gamble again, but he'd lose every time and the little cricket would come back and get him again.
hundred
That
percent, 100%. That's how it is, man. That's how it is.
that's what crypto makes me think of. Crypto reminds me of that kind of like that when it first gets you, you go buy something like you say you get that doge at 5 cents and you see it go upwards of 20, 30, 40 cents and you're like, oh my god, this is I made the best decision of my life. I am a investment guru. And then you like you said that bull run ends though, you see that whole market go back down. You're like, wait, what happened?
You don't believe, and that was my big problem. I didn't believe. You hear because you get into the space and you see things happening, and you're like, "I'm so much in profit. How could it turn around? How could I possibly lose all of this money?" And you'll hear folks who say they've been around for a while and the bear market is coming. And for me, I wasn't coming from a place of like trading stocks and stuff like that. I didn't really start researching financial literacy and start to really get my work on my financial IQ until after I got into crypto. So that was like honestly one of the big things for me. It's like I knew, you got to work a job. The boomer stuff, right? You got to set up a 401k. You got to do this. You got to do that if you want to be set by the time you retire. But I didn't understand that banks didn't they don't really they don't really have your money. I started to understand inflation and research inflation and why inflation was such a big deal. And I started to look at the things that you talk about so much, like those CPI reports, those unemployment reports, paying attention to every time the Federal Reserve, I started watching the markets and I started to realize when the Federal Reserve says something, the market reacts. And, I like all of the stuff that you hear that you feel like was hoopla, you kind of if you stick around for long enough, you'll kind of start to it all the puzzle starts to come together, is what I'll say.
Yep.
And that's really what really got me to, like I said, to stick around. But to be honest with you, if kind of segueing into like what I'm working on today, like it got me to work on myself, but it also got me to start to network a lot more, to start to talk to people who I may not have talked to before if I wasn't in this space. And the beautiful thing about the Web3 space is it's not like you're not insulated within your country like most markets, right? In most niches, most spaces. In the Web3 space, it's a global industry, and so you start to find yourself networking with people all across the world. And that's one of the things that it, it that there's another thing as well, like that plus being able to actually just being a participant, seeing like, okay, what's happening here, what are the what are the pain points, right? I'm a consumer in this space, right? I'm using these technologies. I'm playing around with this stuff over here. I'm dabbling with this over there, and I'm seeing all these different pain points, and then I'm seeing all of the that's when the business side of me starts to come out, right? And I start to try to figure out, okay, well, how do I push this space forward? Because once you're here long enough, you start to realize it's not going anywhere, right? This space is it's not going anywhere. It's once the cat's out of the bag, the proverbial cat, it's hard to put it back in the bag, right?
Yeah.
And so I started to have that realization as well, kind of along the way. I don't know if you ever had a moment like that where it's like, yeah, I think I understand what's going on here, and and I don't think it's going anywhere for a long time, actually. Was there like an aha moment for you? Like, you know what? This is it. It's not going anywhere. There's something more here.
Yeah, for crypto, for Bitcoin, blockchain technology, I would say, even with the fiat currency, like there was a point where I thought it was all crumbling. I still think that hyperinflation is obviously real. So I think
Mhm.
the buying power of your dollar is less and less. So I thought that before I had fully even believed in crypto. And
Mhm.
so with that, that led to, me essentially uh, researching blockchain technology, doing some research on the internet, how the internet was adopted, and seeing how
Mhm.
much against that, or how much people did not believe that was going to be a thing was.
Right.
And with that, I started to really look into even gold and silver as assets. I started understanding assets, asset classes, what these things meant. That led me into the conviction of Bitcoin pretty early. I'd say, I want to say around 2015. I was like, I need to get as much of this as I possibly can, and I had been watching it since about 2013. Knew about it since about 2011,
Mhm.
but didn't really get into it until 2017, and that was my aha moment. I just saw everyone kept saying it's going to zero every time I would hit a new all-time high. Peter Schiff still says it. If you guys don't know Peter Schiff, he's a gold maxi. He still thinks it's going to zero on Bitcoin, But when I started seeing those things and it's only at $3,000 and falling back to hundreds, I was like, nah, I don't know about this. It's scary when the number gets close to zero. But
Mhm.
the more that I was seeing it go from 3 to 9, from 9 to 13, from 13 to 20,000, and seeing these lows be non-existent that we had before, and higher low, higher low, higher low. That
Mhm.
cycle around 2016, 2017, that was when I had full faith and wish I had, millions. I wish I had so much to put in, because I would have bought. If I would have known the things about the financial industry and institutions now, I would have leveraged my freaking everything. I would have put kidneys on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
line and been like,
Yeah.
I'll pay it back later. We're fine. Uh, but no, not financial advice. Don't recommend that. But it was my aha moment, to answer your question, during that run. And then 2020, 2021 was the run that we had made the most money so far. We had taken money out for starting up companies and things of that nature.
Mhm.
We ended up, long story short, in that we ended up putting the money that we had left from businesses back into crypto and starting a long-term investment portfolio, which has led me to this point now, trying to help people understand what it is. Um, the aha moment is, like, in my opinion, the people that have that, it's the people that saw .com and saw the
Yeah,
.com bubble
100%.
coming. And I believe that we are the .com bubble of our generation. And I think that we're building businesses that are going to be for that future now. The businesses that started with .com, the businesses that really took that chance to go online, that's us in Web3. And I think that that's a big part of why I'm in love with Infinite NFT Royale and you guys and what you're building, because Infinite NFT Royale has such an amazing base of being a TCG, but also being online already, Web 2, and then looking forward for Web 3 integration integration. And I'm excited for what you guys are building. And that leads me into let's segue into what has becoming a IRL business with Web3 focus been like for you, and how is that journey going, and what are you excited about, or what are you building in that realm of IRL Web2 and Web3 business?
Absolutely. So it was a great segue, by the way. And what I will say is, in regards to like the Web 2 space, is really interesting because you have to be able to. So let me give you my thesis before I even get into that, right? Like I think going back to what you said about the .com era, and this kind of being the equivalent of that for during our era. I think it is that. And like you said, the people who have that aha moment, they quickly start to realize that. And then the question becomes, well, how do I contribute? Right? How am I able to benefit and also contribute to the space in a similar fashion to the let's say the Elon Musk's or the Jeff Bezos's of the .com era, right? And so you find yourself going down this rabbit hole of the best way to do it. And what for me, it wasn't even really about jumping right in. As I told you, I've been in this space for several years now, right? And you see you get to when you're just a participant and you're not jumping straight into a project. You get to learn, number one, but you also get to see what other folks are doing, right? And kind of being able to take notes from like what works, what doesn't work when you use their product, what feels good about it, what doesn't feel good. Kind of what I was talking about earlier, where you're able to find those pain points. And so the journey for me and Anthony has really been, it's been super interesting, which was my first statement, for that reason, because you have to find the right way to do it. There's no company that I would say hasn't had some ups and downs, at least in the Web3 space, that has tried to accommodate this, right? You got your layer twos, you got your layer ones, your layer twos, and then you have folks who are focusing on like on ramps and off ramps and things like that. But me and Anthony wanted to live in the space of like, we wanted to find something to do for people that are in the space and some utility for those folks, but also not exclude the folks who are not in the space, right? Like, because at the end of the day, we're you gotta understand where you're at in the grand scheme of things, right? And our chapter, I guess, so to say, is adoption, right? Where we're still working to foster this adoption for this thing um that we know is great, but it's like, okay, well, how do we get it there though, right? Like, how do we achieve what the folks from the 90s era achieved with the internet? Um, and
Exactly.
so we started to, it was really about, well, let's bridge them, right? Let's bridge Web 2 and Web 3, but not like in the traditional like tech aspect, right? Where like, well, I guess video games are technically still tech, but not in that regard, right? We wanted to do something fun and entertaining, and I felt like that was what this space needs more of. I'm not gonna say it's missing, but it needs more fun. It's generally always anxiety based because the thing we worry about is price go up, right?
When
What's
Lambo.
Win Lambo, right? Win Lambo. And it's hard to have fun in that type of environment. We kind of talked off camera about some things that happen in the space where it's like it can be really anxiety filled, right? It can get really, really dark sometimes and nasty.
It becomes cutthroat. Like I've worked in sales a lot. And working in sales is one of those things. If you're not hitting your quota, your numbers, you're out of here.
Yeah.
Web3 starts to feel a similar sense of that. People become focused on, in my opinion, the greed instead of the actual utility or what we're trying to accomplish in Web3. So I resonate with you on that one a lot.
100%, man. 100%. And that was what I went through a lot in my early stages. Kind of like I was focused on the charts. I was focused on my bag. I was focused on trying to learn. I didn't know what the bear market was. And then when it came, I was focused on like how much money I lost and trying to reset and like when is it gonna
Same.
go up again, right? Like, and it's a long process, bro. Like the bear market is tough. And if you don't know what you're doing, or it's your first cycle in and you don't come into the market during the bear market, you come in at the top at the end of the bull, it's a tough journey to have to take into space. And without those folks that I had around, without being able to try to foster some type of positive energy, aka fun, right? Without being able to have fun, it really, I think my journey would have ended early. And I think I would have walked away like most
Yeah.
folks do when they only see that side of it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when you have the aha moment, like we talked about, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, there's some stuff to be built here. Now it's time to roll up my sleeves and bring that to the table, right? Figure out how can I make that happen. And so with the inception of the game, like obviously I didn't start here, but by the time I got here, it was like that was at the front of my mind. Like I want people who come into the space to meet, well, me and Anthony both. It's like we want you to be able to meet really great people and have a bunch of fun while learning at the same time, especially as a newer person
Yeah.
in the space. And
I
it's so
agree.
much like people, I think, take that for granted, like the community aspect of it, because when you really do have a good community of people, and you really do have some folks who are veterans and who know some things, you're not just listening to some dude on YouTube who you don't know. You look at the comment section, they're all scammers. I don't
Yeah.
even know if he's trying to scam me, right? Like,
You remember when
I'm listening.
do you remember when Elon Musk was sending if you sent him all your Doge back in the last run, he'd send you double the Doge back or something, and it was
Bro.
like it wasn't even a video of Elon Musk and it was all out of context and people were still sending money and it's like first of all,
That
how's this
is
even get on YouTube to begin with? But oh man, to touch on that just a little bit, it's like the Wild West. And it means that you have to be vigilant. It means that you have to understand what this industry has. You got to understand when they're calling you about your extended car warranty, quote unquote.
oh yeah.
It's obviously not real, and there's still a lot of different things that can happen out there. And so it really does, it's daunting for people that are new into Web3. And one of the things that, that means is that we have to create a easier, safer system. And we've talked about mass adoption before, especially you and I, and on stages in spaces. And we talked about how we have to reach out elsewhere, and we have to have it be easier for everyone to onboard to come into that
Mhm.
crypto Web3 space, almost without knowing that they're in it, that the technology is just running. And with that, again, it's something that I'm excited about with you guys and the way that your business mindset is getting into this industry. It's how do we onboard normies? Let's say we call it normies, people that just don't know crypto yet. But we
Mhm.
bring those people into the space, showing them a safer area to partake in, a more informed starting point to get into. And I think with that,
Mhm.
you guys are doing that in the TCG side. You guys, and I know that you guys have loved trading card games IRL, on games and stuff through your lives. And so to see you guys understand, sit back, see what the market's doing. I know we talked with Anthony on the last one that the inception of this game was essentially a card game for the family and friends to
Yeah.
play. And so with that, you guys also looked and said, wait, there's an entire industry and global population that we could have access to helping have fun, be a part of a TCG game. But also, you guys are passionate about the blockchain technology. So I know that you guys are moving forward with that. And how do we implement the Web 2 into that? And you guys are going to be one of those bridges for a lot of people to onboard into Web3, in my opinion, and in a safer manner, while also having fun and seeing how the future looks in blockchain technology with you guys.
100%, man. 100%. I'm glad you see that, bro. Because like, and that's the topic of this, right? Bridging Web 2 to Web 3. I think that should be like the that's the topic of this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the most important part. And when we created this game, and like looked at the like what would we be able to do? Like how would we be able to do this? Why would this out of all things make sense, as opposed to doing any type of game, right? You can make any type of game and kind of spin it and try to, you know, bridge Web 2 and Web 3 together some sort of way. But I feel like this was kind of like it just made sense where the niches kind of overlap. And what I mean when I say that is like people who collect NFTs generally collected something prior to, right? Them being into the NFT space.
Yeah, true.
And so it just made sense to create something that would that could essentially show people that, right? Like it could illustrate that for people in a very simple way, but not like initially right off the bat like the marketing thing that's like in your face like yo these are NFT cards in a trading card game. It's like no, this is just a trading card game. And as you start to play it and as you come into the community, you'll quickly find out that oh, this is some these are crypto people, right? These are people who are in the crypto space. Like yeah, they love trading card games and they like playing it. That's why they come and hang out and do the thing. But they're actually they're actually crypto people, right? And and me and Anthony spend a lot of time um within that community and making sure that the vibes are right, making sure that the folks there are are like they're friendly and they're obeying the rules and all of the things of that nature. We spent a ton of time trying to foster a great community environment for the game so that folks who we're trying to I guess quote unquote Trojan horse and show them this Web 3 game or this Web 2 game. They're able to digest it but then also make friends and then not be so opposed to talking about NFTs and things like that. And then a lot of the folks in the community have IP in the game, and so they share that information with the people who have never heard or have heard of NFTs but have never really taken the time of day to really research it or really go down that rabbit hole. I mean, in 2025, I mean, if you're within a certain demographic, I would imagine you're at least familiar with like the cryptocurrency term, and maybe you've heard of NFTs and that thing, even though you may not know exactly what they are, what they do, you're vaguely familiar. And so when people who you've been playing with and hanging out with are talking about these things and bringing these things up and sharing their experiences with you and offering you that that hand, so to say, that hand to kind of help you along the way because you don't know, but you see the benefits because they're telling you about them. It's like it just made sense to do it in a trading card game way. And we did, there's like some nuances obviously in there with like how we do the IP and how we create the utility. And it's a really unique way, I guess, of doing it. But the overall idea, right, which is we create this utility for people in the space, but we package it as a Web 2 product that doesn't necessarily require you to be in the Web 2 space to be able to use. And then it's also something that's fun. You kind of you kind of start realizing like, okay, I'm checking the boxes here. This might work. This might be something that actually can be a useful tool along the way, or along the path of, folks in the space, right? Who want a game, who want to learn, who I mean, there's so much, man. There's so much. I could talk for hours, but yeah, it's just like it was one of those situations where it just made sense to do this type of game and to do it this way.
Yeah, and I think you guys are doing it in such a good way. And the community side you talked about, it is important to touch on always. The community is the foundation or the backbone, however you want to look at it, of your projects or your business. Nike and Adidas and all these companies that have been around for decades and generations at this point, they're around for a reason, because they also have done well to their audiences, or they continue to release things that people have wanted or move in the directions that they feel. We see culture move a lot of businesses, and even bit or in the sense of businesses having to change the way they think, because they're gonna get canceled essentially, if they don't if they're
Yeah,
doing crappy things. It's changed the way that community is, or not changed the way, it is something that Web3 has been lacking. In that side, there's so much extraction going on that there's not actual community. We see a lot of communities get hurt inside Web3 more so than we see them get helped. And so one
mhm,
of the things that I always love talking to you and Anthony about, is that you know we care about the people we're playing with. We care about the people that are in the game. We care about the projects that we put in the game. All of these things are a part of building that community. Your guys' game nights are popping. We popping so hard that sometimes we bring it down. Sometimes we bring the house down. But it's just in such a good way. And I mean that in the best way, because you guys have just cooked so hard on focusing on how do we give back to the community right away. Everyone that's inside of your game gets a little bit of residual. The projects that
mhm.
are in your game, they're even getting a little bit of kickback. It is not just you guys collecting on people buying packs of cards, and that's something that we can't say has been done in other TCG games. How many times have I had to buy cards in new Magic games, or in new Yu-Gi-Oh games, or in Hearthstone, or and just any of them? Pick a card game, insert card game here. You've had to buy card packs in those games, but your artist, most likely that artist of that card, wasn't getting paid extra from the initials that they had done, especially in the digital realm. I think people get kind of ripped off in the digital realm a lot more than they did in the physical realm, because there was ways to track or pay for that. Web3 is going to change that, and you guys are facilitating that bridge for one, a better TCG game world for people to invest in. You're not just playing at that point, right? You're actually investing into a card game. And I think that's
Right.
something I see with you guys moving forward with community, the business, the bridging, the figuring out how to bring all of this together for Web3, because that's your passionate part of all of this. Where I know the whole thing is your passion, but that blockchain technology, that forward motion of future, other people
Mhm.
coming into your game aren't going to necessarily care about that at first, but you guys are going to help bridge that kind of understanding and knowledge. And
Right.
I'm excited to
Right.
see what that looks like in a year, 3 years, 5 years from now for you guys, and what Infinite NFT Royale becomes as blockchain unfolds.
100%. And I could actually give you a little small glimpse of at least our vision, right?
Yeah,
Because
I'd love that.
ultimately, 100%, 100%. So ultimately, I mean, we've talked about the Web2 face inside of it, and kind of like what the product has to be, right? You need that familiarity. You want something that people are used to, like, or people are able to interact with in the way that they're used to interacting, right? You got to meet folks where they're at. I've been in sales for, oh man, well, I'm not in sales anymore. I guess technically I am, but not
Yeah.
like it's not my full time job, right? But it used to be my full time job, and so I used to sell a lot of different products, for a bunch of different companies, and ultimately, you got to meet folks where they're at. You know what I mean? People don't like things that they don't understand how it benefits them or what's the value proposition? Like, why should I use this? Why should I do this thing or use this thing over this other thing and and on top of that, do I even need it at all? Right. Um, and so that part of it is like the number one thing we're trying to address through familiarity, through it just being a Web2 product. The use case is very simple. Just come play some games, have some fun, right? But on the other side of that, the vision for for the Web3 aspect of it is and even before I move on from that, like the Web2 part of it, it's not, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? We've seen a ton of successful trading card games. And I'm not gonna say there's a formula because nothing is just, you input a thing and then the output you get is like what you want. There's gonna be iteration and you're gonna have to find a way to make it work for you. But it's not something we have to like scratch our heads about. We've seen it. There's blueprints out there. I actually watched or read this book a while ago, and it was like the golden rules of like trading card games, which is I went way down. Like I liked trading card games before we started this project, but like I'm really down the rabbit hole now. But like the other side of it that I was going to bring up was the Web3 aspect, and like the vision there is not only for this trading card game to be something that Web2 people can enjoy. But also, I mean, we've talked about the utility, but it will have Web3 features, so that if you are in that space, you do understand what's happening and you do know how to take advantage of those features, you'll be able to do so. So it won't be like, oh, we're only Web2 and we don't cater to Web3, outside of just get your game in the, I mean, get your IP in the game value prop. We actually have more use cases coming. And it's I think Anthony maybe talked about this on a space this weekend. Actually, I think it was on the Saucy Saturdays with the Solana Deads. He might have said something about wagering matches and things like that. So that'll all be like blockchain stuff that if you understand blockchain and you know how to use it, those features will be there for you. So being able to understand that, I mean, understanding our customer, right? Being stewards of that, and running a good business. It's not hard to run a good business. I've run several businesses in my time in my career, and I will say that they're Web2 businesses, not anything that has been on the blockchain or anything, but once you understand how to run a successful business, you just rinse and repeat, right? You got to make sure that you do certain things the right way, and you'll get those outcomes. And so I say one of the most exciting things is actually all of the data we're getting back, all of the feedback that we're getting from this process, because from this point, like we want to revolutionize. Like, and here's the alpha here. Like, here's the overall vision. We want to revolutionize. Kind of what you said earlier is how gaming works for gamers. The model of the old world is you don't own anything. You don't even own that game. You buy that game, they still own the IP. They own the console that, well, not necessarily the game developer, but you don't even own the console that the game's being played on. And so it's like when you buy these things and you spend your money in these games, you don't, the trade off is, you'll have a good time. You don't have anything outside of that, but once you get to crypto space, well, maybe not so much crypto space. Is just life, right? You just quickly start to find out that the most valuable thing that you have is time. So if you're
Yep.
investing your time into a thing, um, along with your hard-earned money, there should be some type of return there. And so we're building towards being able to make those types of things happen with inside the game. And obviously we'll use a blockchain technology to make it all possible. But that's where we're trying to get to where the dynamic specifically in the niche of a trading card game doesn't look like I just have
Okay.
all of these things I bought and I can't
Yeah.
do anything with them. I can actually do something with these things. I can actually sell these things. I can actually find ways to
Mm.
I'm gonna give you a quick
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
We know exactly how many cards exist or have been essentially opened out of a card pack in the game. And so with that information, you can do a lot of stuff with, right? I'll just leave it at that. You can do a lot of stuff with that information. And so we're trying to find ways to utilize that information um, while not taking away from the experience, right? The fun, but also find an additive, also find a way, the right way to actually incorporate this into into the game mechanic, into the gaming ecosystem. And I mean, you can see so far if you followed our what we've done at all, we're doing things completely different. This is not a traditional approach of even a Web3 project to doing a game, right? And so we're doing things a little different for a reason, but ultimately that goal is to get that data so that we can make those iterations, make those changes, and get this to where the vision to where it needs to be, which is folks need to be able to own that stuff in the game, and they need to and you need to be able to benefit from that. It shouldn't just be a one way type of deal, right? Where it's just you feeding into the gaming company. It's them also taking care of you because you've helped make this title a success, right? Um, and so yeah, that's really the vision, the long term vision. I know it wasn't very detailed, but generally, like I said, I always try to speak in generalities. Generally, that's like where we're trying to build towards, or where we are building towards, every day, every day.
I'm excited. I love that you also said I want to touch on a little bit back. I mean, everything you touched on is gold, and not given all the you can't give away all the meat and potatoes. You gotta, So I get it. You can't drop all the alpha in one podcast. Um, no, but one, like you said, finding a rhythm or a pattern in business. Management, ownership, opening, running companies, it's that's one of the most important things, is understanding how business works, how economy flows. Things of that nature
Mhm.
will set people up way better for business. So just wanted to touch on that lightly. The other thing that you said that I really like is that, for the Web3 people, like Anthony had talked about on Saucy Saturday, which, if you guys check us out on Saucy Saturdays, usually InfiNFTRoyale's in the house with Solana Deads, and it's a fun time. We interview and talk to people there. But Anthony was talking about the wagering, right? We're going to have ways for people to play and earn, play to win, not pay to win, play to win kind of stuff. And I think that that's going to be huge in Web3. But I can tell, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that you were saying this, it sounds much like, you still want those Web2 people that might not want to play in that world to just have fun and play a game, but have those people that are in that collection world, or maybe they're not into Web3, but they want to wager in a card game because they've been playing the Web2, and they're high on a leaderboard. Now they've got some confidence to go, what is this wagering thing? What is crypto? What is blockchain? Boom, boom, boom. Before you know it, they understand Bitcoin, they understand Solana, they understand all these layer ones and layer twos. Now they're starting to play to earn, they're playing to win. Now they have there's other projects that are going to be doing this, and this is how adoption happens. This is how you become the front facing TCG game, just like Solana Deads wants to become the front facing brand extreme sports and software. We're fortunate enough to have Rogue as our software developer, constantly building in the blockchain with things that are not there that need to be had. Just like you guys are building this TCG game in a world that we've had a few tries, no one's done it right yet. And I think that you guys coming at it from a completely different approach, starting in Web 2, building
Mhm.
community and fun, and then starting to transition that, build that on the blockchain so that you have a following that's going to follow you because they know you're going to lead them to water, like to, horse to water, leading them to drink. And I know you guys are also putting these projects into your game so that they can learn, what is this, what is Dragon Punks, what is Solana Deads, what is Big, what are all these things, so that people can also find projects that way. And it's going to be very exciting to see you guys really build and unpack during this cycle. I think you guys are just doing it right, and that's why I'm excited to have you guys here, and also have Toshi be starting to help with these podcasts, editing these. He has an amazing editing skill, so I'm very excited to have you being on my help over here and helping me to bring this vision to life. And the more we connect people and bridge, like you said, bringing people through YouTube to understanding what we're building, what kind of things are happening, to bringing them into the TCG and then bringing them into blockchain. There's so many bridges we're going to connect that's what's going to help to onboard more people for the future of Web3 as we get adopted here. So with that said, as you guys get going through this cycle, you've been through a bull run before. You've understood the bull, the bear, the winter, the summer cycles. What, going into this bull run, is going to be that knowledge you have? What is going to help you guys with Infinite NFT Royale, and what are you kind of looking for as the cycle ramps up and then as it cools off, what you guys are building?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. So going into this, look, the knowledge obviously from is massive. Just being inexperienced and, like you said, a full cycle, understanding what the ups and downs look like. For us, that information is pivotal for everything we've done so far in terms of when we decided to launch the project and actually work on it. Get actually shout out to Solana Diz, man. We got the same birthday. Same birthday, July 4th. Let's
Oh
go.
yeah, it's a
Independence
good
Day.
day. Yeah.
But it's a day of champions, my man. Um, but yeah, so it went in that. So let me get back to the question. The main thing is that information it's played almost into everything from the launch up to we've talked about the NFT collection that'll be coming soon, sooner than later. I will say that we still haven't agreed on the date. We're wrapping some things up, but and then like the the timing of the second season, like all of this stuff is happening. We wanted to launch the game at peak, well, as close to peak euphoria as possible. It's close to that, you know how the cycles work where they like at the end of the cycle, that's when everybody comes. It's like at the
Yeah.
end of the cycle, that's when everybody starts to flood in. Alt
Yeah.
seasons happening, things are going crazy. Bitcoin's like, on its last leg, but it's still chugging along. And it's like
Yeah.
everybody starts to pour in because they start to hear the stories of the gains and FOMO happens. But that's the point where you have the highest opportunity to reach the most people. And if you can do it the right way, which is a lot, that's what I've learned of, the most. If you can do it the right way, because so many times it's done the wrong way, in a malicious way, in a way that turns people off. And so it's like once you do it right at that time, you set yourself up for success in the bear market, because what we do know is most successful projects, they make it through the bear market. But and when going back to when I heard about, when I first, got into the space, people would always tell me, well, 99% of projects they're not going to be around next cycle. And so that was, I guess, that information, like I said, going back to your main point, that was that's the information for me. That's the alpha for me.
Yeah.
Knowing that, you know what I mean? It's like every you can do so much right. Timing is important. And I feel like that's what we took into this, was
Mhm.
like the timing. We gotta time this right. We don't want to start building in the bear. It's low interest.
Yeah.
We're around for a little bit. We get a, people start to look at us as, oh, those guys over there, they haven't made any noise. And people start to write you off, right? But so we wanted to do it in a timely fashion and make sure that the timing with the market, or with the cycle, I'm sorry, the timing with the cycle made sense. But also understanding like how can you within that timing, how can you capitalize on um the Web3 side of it, right? Like let me say the financial side of it, right? Like how can we position ourselves knowing that folks are going to be coming in. There's going to be lots of liquidity grabbed at the end, and then there's going to be a bear market, but then that's going to be an opportunity to do like treasuries. That's going to be the best time for us to make sure that there's capital coming into the treasury. Because we're coming in at the end of the cycle, we get the benefit of that mass uh, euphoria and that hype cycle, that hype, that happens around the end. But then
Mhm.
we also benefit from like the drawdown of the prices, and we're able to position ourselves as a company a little bit better in terms of our finances, what we have on our balance sheet, acquiring assets with the revenue that we're generating, being able to flip those into some type of treasury. Now I know I like took this to a whole nother like now I'm talking like operating and financial stuff, but
No, this is good though.
that's the,
It's good for people to hear these things too, though.
yeah, but I don't think people think about that stuff from the business aspect, right? Like because folks look at the project, um, or and the project is normally a coin or an NFT, but
Mhm.
when there's a business behind it and it's not just a project, there's a business, you have all these other layers of things that kind of go into whether or not that project is successful. And as a
Mhm.
business, from a business standpoint, I feel like this is the best time. And so that was a long-winded way to answer your question, but I feel like it was important to get all of that in there for context so it could make sense because it's not just like, "Oh, I want to be around for hype. Why do you want to be around for hype? How does that timing
Mhm.
help you? What's the plan for that capital? How are you going to make sure that that's sustainable over the bear market and used as a catalyst in the next bull market? Those are things that we're thinking about, and that I feel like every project should be thinking about.
Exactly. I agree. Again, you and I agree a lot. We think a lot of the same in that sense. And, I'll touch on it too, just, to kind of piggyback on what you said. Um, Understanding the cycles, understanding how the patterns move, you understand that at the peak of the cycle, when the FOMO set in, euphoria is fully in, we're oversold to the heavens waiting for this to fall back down because we've seen 3,000% increases in market.
Hmm.
Realistically, that is when X and all the timelines and YouTube and Patreons are popping off. Everyone's everywhere. There's millions, maybe even possibly billions this cycle of new eyes
Hmm.
hearing, seeing about what is crypto. Um, that is a moment to be seen. But if you weren't there before that, and I always say this is important when you're building, to be there before the hype because it shows that you're willing
Yeah.
to build through the slowness. But then in the hype, understanding where your eyes are, when you're going to be, or what you need to do to be seen, and catch as many of those eyes that come into the market as you can. But with
Hmm.
that, knowing that it's also going to sell off and go back to no one on the timeline. X has 100 people
Hmm.
posting a day type thing. It's never that bad, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like it's
I know.
sometimes it's quiet out there on the timeline. You're like, I swear I've seen this post today already. you know, you like and it's just a ghost town. Whereas during the peak of that cycle, everyone's downloading X and trying to get on, and what the hell is going on? And I want to make some of this magic internet money I keep hearing about from everybody, and all of these
Yeah.
things. I keep talking to projects too about not calling ourselves projects anymore. Like with you guys, I call you guys a business. Infinite NFT Royale is a business. Solana Deads is a
Yeah.
business. And I think that's something
Right.
else that in the past it's been hard because of regulations, because of securities, all the things that go on economically with crypto. It has made it difficult to just be a business. Now, 2025, it is becoming much easier to be a business, and you can now accept crypto as payments for things, and that's legal tender. And so, if you want to be a business, you can actually set these things up, and you can have it set to take in money. And a lot of that is going to, be a part of this next run, this adoption of so many people coming in. You're going to be able, again, to help bring people into a trading card game that's Web 2. It's easy to hop in. You don't have to necessarily be a part of Web 3, but because so many people are going to be hearing about Web 3, they're going to start looking up this game, this token, this NFT, all of these different things. What is it? And they're going to be buying into stuff. That is a moment to really have your marketing locked in, to really have your community foundation built, to have all of this stuff kind of preemptively ready so that when the euphoria is there, you're one of the front and centers, and you can help to
Right.
keep those people around for the next bull run by helping them understand this bull run. And so that's something, obviously from the Solana Deads and me as a technical analysis, that's really important to me is we want to teach people how to get into our communities, how to make money, but then how to also offboard themselves. Because, like you said, we're going to have the end of a bull run and it's going to sell off again. Most people, the last couple runs, I think, have got caught with, their pants down, and they
Yeah.
saw the market. They were taking snapshots of their wins, and then all of a sudden it's, 80% drops. Now you lost all your wins and you got to wait till the next cycle. Hopefully it didn't sell off, because every time someone says, oh, yeah, I've been in for 3 cycles. Oh, nice. Are you doing well? No. Well, why? How are you? If you bought 3 cycles ago, the only thing that could have happened is you sold at a loss at some
Yeah.
point in
Yeah.
those cycles. If you aren't saying you're doing well, and I understand that it is difficult, it's a
Right.
lot of learning. So definitely not shaming people for not understanding, but also bringing that realization of the market moves fast. There's a short window for people to be here, and there's a short window for people to bounce out of it because it didn't go well, and there's a short window for people
Right.
staying for the long term as well.
Right.
As we move and build as businesses, one of the things that I think we can do to help is to figure out what people need to understand about this industry, and what in our businesses can we show people part of that industry to be a little bit safer, to work a little bit more efficiently in, or to just stay safe and make their money. And I think that you guys with the TCG, the way you started this first, you've been in a cycle, full cycle of watching this all unfold. I think you guys are doing it right. Web 2, let's build up fun and community. Web 3, we'll get that as the cycle moves. And then as that cycle
Yeah.
peaks, we will reach out to a lot of people, and we'll have a lot of eyes on. We make sure the game is working, it's fun. We've ironed out a lot of things by that point, which we have months ahead of us before that happens. With all of that said, it's just amazing to have you here, Toshi, to have you guys talking about the real things that need to be talked about, in my opinion, in Web3, which is how to think about this, how to structure yourselves, and how to
Yeah.
think about this outside of just a here and now, and about history, future, and how crypto cycles actually work.
100%, man. 100%. And man, it's a blessing for us to even be doing what we're doing, man. We've had so much support over this over the course of us doing this thing. My fault, man. I'm hearing stuff in the background. My fault. I got a little distracted there, but yeah,
Oh, you're
this has
good.
been a blessing, bro. It's been a blessing. We've been here for I mean, since July, right? As we were saying earlier, and we've had so much support from so many different communities, from so many different people. We've had folks come into the game from a Web 2 facing view that are now getting into Web 3. I think we talked about it when Anthony first got got into this. When Anthony first started this game, he was kind of like, I've bought Bitcoin on Cash App before, but like I don't know anything else, right? And now he's like bridging funds and like giving away NFT. It's so fun. Like a year ago, I had such a hard time even explaining to him what an NFT was and why it was important. Now, a year later, he's given away NFTs, on X Spaces, right? And I mean, that's just a testament to how important creating fun and fostering community is. Because if we were unable to achieve that, even him as a co-developer, I'm not 100% sure he'd still be around the space. It took me a long time to get him to actually pay attention and kind of pull those layers back, right? But once he did, it got him and it made sense. And I feel like people who are in Web3 that do find that are so much better off, even in their IRL life, right? Without Web3 being involved. Like I was telling you earlier in the podcast, how I started to work on my financial IQ just because of what was, I didn't understand what people were talking about in this space. The language was so foreign to me. And I'm one of those folks where I don't like to be the guy in the room and things are like going over his head. I'm like, no, what are they talking about? Right? Like, what's going on here? Like,
Same.
and so, yeah, so, um, like I said, this has been a blessing, man. It's been a blessing. And it's been, yeah, we have found a bunch of really cool people. You being one of those people in this space, and if we hadn't, started this journey and created decided to make a trading card game, I don't know if that would have happened. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't have it any other way. So
100%. Universe and fate work in mysterious ways, but they all line up at the perfect moment. And I think that that's kind of what we're seeing, almost a collective experience in Web3. We're
yeah,
seeing all
yeah,
walks of life and people from different states, countries, ways of living coming together, realizing that we all kind of wanted just a better tomorrow. And with blockchain
yeah,
technology and the way that the technology and connection around the world's working, I think that that's kind of happening personally. And I think it's going to be an amazing journey, especially through this bull run. We talked about this as kind of the institutional bull run, most likely, and that the next bull run would be
yeah,
our mass adoption bull run. And once companies have had
right.
time to build, um, we're going to have so much more to talk about year over year, month over month. Toshi, it was amazing for you to take the time today to talk and share your core feelings, your thoughts, the beliefs of Infinite NFT Royale, the business side of what you guys want to
Yeah,
accomplish, what you guys are looking for. I think that people are going to find this very enjoyable to watch you guys, and I look forward to having you back on for more podcasts and to just kind of talk more about what our economic studies, the things that we go through, and then kind of get those updates and those milestones that Infinite NFT Royale is getting throughout that climb. So I look forward to having you on much more. I look forward to also everyone that watches and listens knowing that Toshi is going to be editing and helping with the production side of this podcast and into the Web3 verse. And I think we're cooking. Toshi, I think we're cooking in so many different ways besides just the deads and the infinite NFT Royale and crypto. I think we're really cooking, businesses and connections and teaching and hopefully helping others be able to come into a space with a little bit more safety and education and actually
mhm,
succeeding and thriving in the Web3 and blockchain world. So thank you for taking the time today, and give us some wrap ups. Any call to arms or action for Infinite NFT Royale? What do you guys got going on in the next 30 days, 90 days? And then with that, we'll wrap up and we'll get you out of here for the night.
yeah. So, number one, appreciate you for having me on. We're definitely gonna do this again. We definitely have to sit down and talk more often, man. I enjoy our talks so much. Information is exchanged. It's always a pleasure. And in regards to what we have working on, every weekend at Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're in the live stream. I mean, we're live on X and on Abstract, and soon to be adding YouTube. We're going to be live on all three of those platforms every Saturday moving forward. So yeah, we definitely do those streams every single weekend, and also we generally run giveaways every week as well. So for you folks watching, make sure you're tapping in with us. And We'll be hosting Solana Deads very often.
I
Very
was just
often. I
gonna
think we got
say
something.
we're
Yeah,
this weekend. I think I'm gonna be hanging out with you guys for a little bit.
100%.
Heck yeah.
This is gonna come out way after this weekend, I'm assuming. But I do want to say that if for the folks who don't see this in time, this will be in a future date. I'll speak in past tense then, right? So we gave away 50,000 Dead's tokens, and that's going to be this weekend. And we will have given away another Solana Dead's free mint this weekend. But we will be doing that more in the future as well. So like I want to get guys, I want to get I want to get a rotation going together. Me and Anthony were talking about having a rotation of our partners that we kind of we do these weekly giveaways, but we want those giveaways to go to supporting you guys directly. And so making sure that we generally try to throw everybody into the pool, but doing a more focused prize pool every week to promote that specific community is going to be something we're going to do a lot more often. So like I said, folks who are looking at this in the future, we will have given that stuff away already, but have no fear, we will be doing those partnerships, those giveaways based on partnerships a lot more in the future, and they'll be way more focused to the the things that are going on in the ecosystems of those projects. Like how fun would it be to get like access to you guys got so much going on, but access to like the Solana or to pay for someone's Discord access to the Soul bot. And I know that
Yeah, yeah.
that you guys have not the Soul bot, but the
The
Discord bot. I'm
gatekeeper.
sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
Gatekeeper bot. Yeah, and getting enough stuff, like just finding ways to do stuff like that and organize stuff like that to make sure that folks do get that, always get that value, always have a reason to show up. They can't say there's not a reason to show up, right? And so, yeah, that's our call to action, though. Just come hang out with us every weekend, man. We're gonna keep building. Season 2 is coming soon, and we're gonna keep cooking. We're gonna keep cooking. As long as people keep supporting us, we're gonna keep cooking. We're gonna keep showing up on the timeline. It's not gonna stop, man. It's only gonna get bigger.
Can't stop, won't stop. Dude, it's amazing to have you on today. I look forward to having you on many more podcasts and just growing all of these businesses together and having those intertwining connections and being able to support each other's ecosystems and help each other, like you were just saying. Whether you're minting a dead for somebody or any of that kind of stuff, it's just absolutely seen. And, that builds that rapport and that community, not only with the people in your brand, but the people from the other brands that you collaborate with. So, with that
Right.
said, Toshi, just an amazing, absolute little over an hour here with you. And I hope you have an amazing rest of the week. Yes, everyone will see this one a little bit further out, but to re echo what Toshi had said, this is the giveaways. This is just what's going on this week. But every week there's different incentives to look for, whether it be supporting projects or community members of those projects. So make sure you guys do stop by on a Saturday. Check us out. Come play some card games with us, and we'll see you guys for the next podcast. But again, Toshi, it's been a pleasure. Have an amazing rest of your week, my friend.
You as well, man. You as well. Appreciate you, Stoner.
Of course, we'll see you soon.
All right.